when like defending.
I think it's like
If you're not going to play the young players, loan them out. People, deluded. I'm back again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. Now, we know we're currently in January. Happy New Year. If I haven't said that or you haven't linked up on my channel in a while, we know where we're talking about loaning players in or out. We're probably focusing more on Arsenal's first team in light with the injuries and the concerns around our striking options, our wide options, central midfield, and probably defense. Now, I do think managers have an impossible job. Football fans, better yet, want managers to give 100 debuts, play the young players all the time, rotate the squad amicably, play the same squad all the time, and still have consistencies. It very much is an impossible job for all Premier League clubs, I believe, blooding players from the youth academy into the first team. And I think when you see people like Balogun sold for a profit, I know they're not, the bee's knees and playing on a regular basis, but when you consider Reece Nelson and Nketiah Smith-Rowe and Bukayo Saka all in and around Arsenal's first team, that is a success in itself, people. Hayland is a fantastic academy, and I definitely believe where Arsenal don't have oil money, it needs to be developing players that, we need to develop all-round players as much as we develop wingers and central midfielders. It'd be lovely to see some centre-halves and defenders come through. And also you want to see players sold for profits, Again, you look at Iwobi, you look at Joe Willock, they're cutting great. Balogun now obviously being capped by America and playing at a good club in Monaco. That we've clearly equipping these young players for top careers elsewhere, really and truly, and that's what you want to see happen. But I also want to see players make their debuts. Like, I'm 28, I'm a Wenger baby. I'm not saying you have to give debuts all the time, but I would say, as much as I've got admiration for Mikel Arteta, probably I would say some concerns would be how we performed in the European Cups in the latter stages. Obviously, how the last 2 years have kind of fell off towards the end, and also say giving debuts. I'm not saying it's got to be like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, but for the amount of players that have been on the bench, I would like to see minutes blooded. Now, he has given Ethan his debut. He has obviously started Sego Jr. early on in the season, but I still think there's a lot more that could be done. When the team is performing, fair enough. But and I'm not saying young players will necessarily be the answer, but when you look at Jurgen Klopp, when they played us in the FA Cup, they had injuries and things, and they're still bringing the interns off the bench, and they're starting, significantly more experienced, but a couple of kids are starting, really. And I would like to see that, if I'm completely honest with you, at the Emirates. I do believe there's a few players in and around the first team that should be pushing. We all know Miles and Ethan. It's a case of when, not if, in my opinion. I think Waters should be chomping at the bit, and he's another one. It's a weird one, because if Arsenal don't bring in a defensive body, I don't see him going out on loan. But if I was Waters, I'd probably be pushing to go out on loan. He can play right back, left back, central defense. Done very well at under 21s level. Did very well in a disappointing campaign in the youth league for us. He needs to be out of his comfort zone. You're playing the same young players that you've probably grown up playing with. As we know, youth football doesn't necessarily prepare you for men's football. You're playing twice a week, 3 times in the space of 10 days. Doesn't matter if you was good on the Tuesday, you need to be good on the weekend. You're playing seasoned vets, and the margins for error are less and less, and you need to be outside your comfort zone in life to really develop football the same. I would also extend that to Cozier-Duberry. He's 18, turning 19 in May. Again, like I said, if there was one area where Arsenal could improve in, but there's bodies, would be up front or the wide options. You've got Nelson, Smith-Rowe can play there, Trossard can play there, Martinelli's about, you've got Gabriel Jesus, and you've got Eddie and Nketiah. So, and we probably need to bring in a winger and a striker. So I kind of get it. But considering Cozier-Duberry's been in and around the first team, when we've played friendlies, he's done very well at under 21s level. I think he's got 5 goals, 2 assists in I don't even know how many appearances, but he started well. Another player where we're disappointed in the youth league, but seem to have done all right. He's turning 19 in May, so there's no rush. But I do think if he's not going to get first team minutes or be in and around, or the manager isn't going to start him in the game to kind of give a statement to other players that, listen, young players are pushing and nobody's place is a given in this team, then you need to loan him out. Now, we all know he's got 6 months left on his contract. I hope to God he signs a new deal, because I don't think it's helpful to sit here like all of these journalists and all these people say the next this, that, and the other. If you type in Cozier-Duberry on Google, you see the next Bukayo Saka. That isn't helpful to him. Not everybody's going to do the Bukayo Saka thing. He's Cozier-Duberry. He's got his own development path. He's doing his own thing. And these people that build these players up as the next this, that, the other are the first to tear them down. He's his own man. That being said, I do think he has the ability, you know, Miles, Ethan, and Cozier-Duberry in particular, I do think they have the ability to be in and around that first team. And I do think Cozier-Duberry should have been on the bench, definitely where the FA Cup against Liverpool was concerned. I definitely think he could have been on the bench before. And it's a shame that he hasn't made his debut in an official capacity. You know, since Arteta's walked in, you know, I've seen Amario Hutchinson, Mikel Arteta, Marcelo Flores, Nathan Butler-Odeji, Charles Seiko Jr., Cozier-Duberry, Ethan, Miles, the list goes on. There's been a Charlie Patino, whole heap of Haylen boys on the bench in the Prem or whatever. How many have made their debuts? So you have to play devil's advocate. I know Arteta's got more pressing priorities, but is Haylen at the forefront of his immediate thinking? I'm not too sure. Long term at the club, probably, you know. And if you're Cozier-Duberry, would you be getting cold feet? I'm sure he loves the club. I'm sure he was an Arsenal fan. Him being here for a number of years, I'm sure him and his family love what they're doing. And, you know, seeing Reece Nelson, Smith Rowe, and Ketia, Saka, all in and around the first team, you know, shows that there is a pathway, or in Balogun's case, sold on for a profit. And as I said, I'm sure Cozier-Duberry is an Arsenal fan, but being 18, you know, surely it's now time for the novelty to wear off about being an Arsenal fan and do what you need to do to advance your career. That doesn't necessarily mean leaving. If I was him, I don't think Arsenal are going to let him or Waters go on loan in January, whether that's due to contracts, whether that's due to bodies in the squad. But definitely for next season, I think it's time to be outside your comfort zone and play grown men's football. I mean, you look at Cozier-Duberry, it's well documented a number of championship teams, people, one that's right next to Birmingham, really, or in Birmingham, really want to sign this man on loan in January. It's well documented that the Anderlechts, the PSVs, the Borussia Dortmunds, they're all keeping a close eye on Cozier-Duberry and monitoring developments. So it'd be nice to see, man. You know, I'd love to see him sign a new contract. Defo think he deserves some minutes. Defo think he deserves to be involved in some capacity, especially where you look at Arsenal in this current climate. You know, if you bring him on for a 10, 20 minutes, give him his debut. Yes, Arsenal are in a tough time in the Premier League, but in a nice way, in a positive way, he might have that naivety like, wow, I'm making my debut. And sometimes young footballers can save you. We saw that with Saka and Smith Rowe. They were kind of naive to the climate at the time Arsenal were going through. Not saying everyone's going to do that, but would like to see that be the case. Now, you could imagine Waters, Cozier-Duberry, Ethan, Miles, and maybe a couple more. You'd imagine that these lot go off to Dubai with the first team, but it's now time to really Sego Jr. to get some moments as well. Be nice to see them make their debuts, you know, in some capacity. And I think Cozier-Duberry could help us out in years to come, man. And yeah, that's all I've got to say in this video, really and truly. As I said, I hope he signs a new contract. Hope he gets to get some first team minutes. If not, hope the man's loaned out, really. I think that's more of a case of next season, because I do believe with Charlie Patino at some point, with Waters, with Cozier-Duberry, with Ethan, with Miles, we've got some players that could really push into the first team and have an opportunity here, people. And whether players are going to push into the first team or not, players need to be pushed into that first team or given the skills to cut out top careers so that they can have good careers in good leagues and whatnot, and ultimately, make this club money. But that's all I've got to say, people. Let me know your thoughts. Smash the like button, comment, and all of them good things. I'm out.
There's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like